welcome guys. This week's race is at Brands Hatch, and I know a lot of you do not like this track, but hopefully with this track guide you'll learn to love it. I had to learn to love Hockenheim, and I was not a fan of that before. Like any track, once you can get fast of it, you'll learn to love it. So what we have here is after I'd done a fuel run, I came back in a bit later. I did a bit of practice qualifying, and then I did a high fuel run. So this was my fastest lap on a high fuel run after a few laps out. So we're going to use this lap to go across the race circuit and the lines and our braking points. So before we go any further, like always, I always show the track info. So here you can see the track is actually quite cool because this is England and it's always cold, and this is actually summer weather for us, so we'll take it. And then as you can see that the practice is completely clean. So the track is all green, so these times are only going to get faster. So let's just remove this for now. And we'll go across the lap. I'm actually going to rewind just a little bit for the setup, because it's all about the exit from the last corner. And it's the line we take up to get us ready for the lap. So it's one of those strange circuits where the start-finish line's at near the end of the main straight. So I'll just take you to the first. Build up so nice and wide. You've got to get used to not being afraid of the grass there. So we bring it over to the left-hand side of the track. And what we're doing at first is, just before we get to the 100-meter board, we're gently putting on the brake. And we're going to build that brake up quite heavily. And we're going to start turning in as the grass ends. There's a bit of concrete over here. And as soon as that grass ends, that's when we turn in. A lot of the people try to go in the middle of the track or turn in really early. It's a corner where it makes you create this bad habit of turning in early, to make you feel like you can make the corner without going out wide. That will really slow you down, and it will cause a lot of issues during a race. You don't want to be doing that. You want to be doing this line. So what I'll do it frame by frame. So we're gently building the pressure up, and as we get to the 50 board, we're slowly coming off. We start turning in as the grass ends. Still on the trail brake. Still on it. Just come off it now, and then you can get on the power quite early. You'll feel the car grip up, and you can hit this. Don't hit it too hard. You can ride it, but if you hit it too hard, it can push you out wide. Okay, and we're going from third up into fourth gear down here. So on the entry to that corner, you are in fourth gear. No, sorry, third gear. And on the exit, you're going up into fourth. And what our aim is to get right on the edge here, all four wheels off the track, which surprisingly is not an off track, because iRacing makes so much sense these days. So all four wheels off the track. It may look like it may look quite scary getting this close to the gravel, and if you do touch it, this wall will be a race ender. This will destroy the car. You're going to be in the pits for at least half an hour if you smash into this at full speed. So try not to worry about that, because as soon as you hit this bit and you're on the correct line, there's so much grip here, it's like the car suddenly just sticks like glue on this section. And this is why we practice. If you practice before the race and you practice properly and you watch this video, you'll get on this line every time. You'll have the confidence to do it, and it will work for you. If you do not, and you don't practice it with the correct setup, you're not going to have a good race. There's so much time to be made and lost down this part here. So we're just going to bring it up to the next corner. So we're staying in fourth, and the next braking point is just before this 50 board. So imagine this is a 75 board right here. This will be 100 behind the car, and we're going to be braking while steering and adding lock into the car. So this corner here, many people stay wide and turn in late. You need to turn in very early for this corner. First of all, you can see how the track is actually banking inwards here. As we're going up, this is actually lower. We need to use that. And what I'll do, I'll bring you around this, talk you through this section, because this is actually a very tricky corner. So as soon as we hit the shadow, that's when we're turning in. We're turning in very early, and we're going to keep building the lock, and we're going to stay on the brake. We're putting all the weight onto the front of the car for this corner. I'm just going to keep adding lock, still on the brake, still on the trail brake, and then we start. You can either keep it tight. I let it run wide just a little bit because I want to get back on the power, and as I'm on the power, I need to come off the steering angle. And you don't have to use all the track here. This is as far as I'm willing to push it. I find that if I go any wider than this, you can use a little bit more, but I'm very easily being pulled onto the grass. And if you get pulled onto the grass here, so this bit here is actually like a mesh. Real race drivers use this section. There is quite a bit of grip here, but as soon as this mesh ends and it goes onto the grass, it's no man's land. You'll either just fall off the track and just destroy your front end over here, or if it's just your rear wheels that catch, it will just turn you spinning and you will go right into this section over here, and again it will be a car destroyer. There's very little you can do. So this is as far as I would choose to go. And then we're going to bring it all the way to the right in a straight line, and then we're going to gently bring it to the left. And what I'm doing, I'm bringing it over to the left only slightly because I'm aiming to brake on a constant steering radius. So I've already started this corner all the way up here because I've got to treat it as one big long sweeper, and we're trail braking the whole way round. As you can see, so on the power, gently on the brakes, we go into third gear and we're aiming for a mid apex here or later. And as soon as we're there, we're back on the power. And this section on the exit, as you can see, it's that grippy mesh again. You can use all of this. There's grip there. But make sure you get back onto the track, because you can see the mesh ends. And again, as soon as you touch that, or if you just touch it with your rear wheels, it spins the car around and it completely wrecks it, and you end up over here. So we want to get back on the track nicely. If you don't use this section on the exit and you keep using the tarmac only, you are going to lose so much time. This track is all about using all those runoff areas. It's a really funny track that even when I've been around it, you have to use this. If you ever watch British Touring Car Championships, they are all over this. You have to be. Even I've actually watched GT3s around this track in real life, and they are well on this section. So it's not just a game. This actually replicates a proper line. So imagine this is tarmac. This is an area you need to be aiming for every time. So we're going to just bring it up to the next section. Fourth gear. And then we're braking quite hard. And you don't want to get tight yet. We want a very, very, very late apex. You can see the tarmac line of the tyres previously. And that's quite a good line to go off to begin with. As you see, we actually keep it quite close to the edge. And again, you've got to get confident doing this. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. And we're actually aiming. We're slowly turning in. And we're aiming. You see this little lit dip here? It's a slight angle change. It's a bit of a dip, and there's an angle change in the apex. And it's almost like a straight line, and there's grip there. And we're not back onto the power until we've angled our car up in line with this section here. So we're aiming to come here. That's where we're apexing. So if we bring that round. So back on the power now because I'm nicely lined up. If you get on the power too early there, you're just going to understeer and you will just end up over here. This track is punishing if you try and push it too early. This track demands you to be relaxed and just wait for the apex. And the more you do that, the car just gets quicker and quicker. This is a track that really, you know, it's corner after corner after corner. But once you get into a rhythm, you don't even have to think when you're on this track. It becomes a dance with your hands. It gets easier and easier. Okay, so on the exit here, I don't ride it because it has got a habit of, if you go too far over it, it can pull you out. But you can, I use this section here if I'm really on the limit, say on a qualifying lap, or if I'm just coming out a bit of an understeer. This is as far as I will go, this little lip here. Any further it starts to pull you out, or it unsettles the car and you bump, and you can hit this grass here, and then again you're over here. So we try and not use this on the exit. You can, but make sure you get back on the tarmac quickly. Okay, so I'm just going to fast forward all the way down to the end. We don't ever get into 6th gear on this track. 5th gear is the highest we go. And we're preparing ourselves now for this long right sweeper. Now you can see that the track actually dips down on the inside and sweeps round. And there's a nice line we go into this. Now the setup on this car, I have to say, is one of the best setups I've had for this corner. I've never had a car feel so correct around this section. So I'll explain how I do this. So with full power, and then at the 50 board, we're gently on the brakes, about 40%, and we're already bleeding off, and we're steering in nice and early, again following the grain on the track. And what we want to do, there's ever so slight straight bit here, but it's more like the later apex, and the more you use it, you'll feel it. There's a nice dip in the track, and that's where you want to get your car and turned early and nice and gently. And as soon as you feel it turning in and you get to here, we get fully on the power again. So as soon as we get to there, building the power back up, there is loads of grip. You will not go wide if you get that correct. See, I'm fully on the power, fully committed. Use a slight bit of the rumble strip on the exit. It actually helps you bring it back in. And then it's all about staying in 4th gear, because this next corner is a right-hander and it is a 3rd gear corner, and you can take more speed than you think. And I'm just going to bring this back ever so slightly. Right, so we're braking quite early, so imagine, 80-meter board here. I will show this again from my point of view after, just so we can look at the reference points there. Okay, so again, braking, put all the weight to the front, shifting down into 3rd. As we're shifting into 3rd, that's when we start turning in. And this isn't your apex, this is your apex. So you want to hit it quite late. And it's that mesh stuff again. There's grip here. It doesn't look it, but this is grip. That's grass, this is the mesh. We want these wheels on here. So we're on that 3rd gear, and as soon as we hit it, I'm fully on the power. And then again, all of this on the exit here is all mesh. All this grip is out here. And that's where we go off to. That's why we can get the power so early, and it brings us out to here. And we can use all of that. Don't use too much because it will pull you out, but you can get on it. And then we're up into 4th gear quite early. And then we stay in 4th gear all the way up. Now this corner is where most people suffer. If you can get this right, you can put some seriously decent lap times in, and you can seriously, you can even do some passes up here. Only if you're super confident with it though. A lot of people start slowing down too early, and you can send it on the inside or around the outside because people brake very early. You don't need to. It's a nice long sweeper. So let's just bring it forward a bit, and we're going to start braking around. Let's get a good reference point. So when you start seeing the 50 board on your right, and you see this section here, Start trail braking about 30% to begin with, and we're not actually putting a lot more braking on. We're keeping it about the same, and we're going to gently bleed off of it, and we are looking to like rallycross style jump over this corner. It looks like we won't make it, but we will. So again, all that mesh, all that grip, and you are literally turning that massive corner into the straightest line possible, and you can really get some serious pace in your lap time if you can get this hooked up. Okay, the only thing you got to be careful of is just going out too wide. If you get that right there, I don't even use all the track, I can go even quicker. But this lap is a race lap. This is the kind of lines I'll be doing during the race, not qualifying. I'm not looking to wreck the car, I'm looking just to be consistent and safe. So I always leave myself a little bit of error room, shall we say. So bring it over to the right, and we're in fourth gear still here. And then as we get into the 50 board, we're braking quite heavily, and we're going to shift down into third. And as we shift into third, we slowly start turning in. Still on the brake, you want the weight on the front wheels. And we're looking to get at least the front left tyre on this section. And as soon as we're on that, because it's a nice little bowl, the track goes this is low down here, high up here. We want to be down here quite early, because the corner kind of spits you out nice and fast if you can get down here. If you don't get down here, you're going to have a hard time getting back on the power, and you're very likely to understeer and come off the track. So we get down on this bit, and as soon as we're on this bit, we can get back on the power, because we know we're on the correct line, we've got the grip, and then we can bring it out nice and wide. Now be careful on the exit here. Just tip the curb. Don't use it anymore, because it can pull you off and send you into the barriers over here. Now, this last corner coming up is a corner you love or hate it, just like this track. It's going to be a third gear corner, because we'll be shifting up to fourth in a minute. Just going to play it now. So we bring the car over to the left to set ourselves up for the last corner, and we're going to be braking just before the 50 board. You can brake later. I brake just at the 50 board. Let's see what I do on this lap. Where do we brake on this lap? Yeah, just before the 50 board. When you're in the car, it's basically when you feel like you're coming up to this section. If this gets knocked out for some reason, use this as reference. A lot of cars do go out too wide here and hit here when they concentrate on this corner too much. So, but yeah, 50 board, when it's just next to your car, from your point of view, that'll be next to you. That's where on the brakes quite heavily. We want all the weight transference to the front, and we want to get it turned in quite early. You can see there's quite a sharp turn in here. Okay, shifting down into third. Don't shift into second. It will really, you've got a risk of spinning the car, because there's a lot of rotation, a lot of weight on the front. You shift down into second, it can easily spin the car or shock the car into understeer, and you're going to come off. You need to keep it tight, because the track dips away from you here. Okay, we can get on the power progressively. Okay, and then you want to get comfortable with going to the edge. This is right on the edge. I don't suggest you do this every lap. I just found myself out here because I just had the correct line coming out. This doesn't happen every lap. Brands Hatch is one of those tracks where, especially on an endurance race, where the tyres are constantly going up and down in temperature and they're wearing. So every lap there might be a little bit less or a little bit more understeer. You might get a little bit of rear and oversteer, and you just have to address it accordingly. So every lap you just have to learn as you go along. But on this one, luckily, because it was only 4 laps in, I had a lot of tyre grip, so I had the confidence to let it go out wide and get on the power early. And then we bring it into the inside for the shortest line possible. Again, you can overtake nice and easy on this section as long as the drivers aren't idiots. Try not to get pushed out and hit the grass though, because if you do hit this grass, it pulls you off and you either lose you can't get back on the track because it kind of keeps sucking you out until you can get back on, or it pulls you off violently and it will just spin the car over to the barriers on the right. Okay, and that completes a lap of Brands Hatch. What I'm going to do now, because that wasn't too long, I'm going to go back over the lap. And I'm going to do it from the cockpit view. And I'm just going to pause and play it at certain sections where it looks a lot different from the cockpit, so we can look at reference points. So here we go, going down 2 gears into third. You can touch that on the outside, good. All fours off the track. Braking at the 50. That's it, on the brake. Slowly unwind, get on the power. Don't use too much on the exit. Braking, try braking nice and early. Nice like on the, wait for the power. There we go. Bring it to the right. Braking in a straight line. Slowly add the steering angle. As soon as you see that kink, back on the power. And then we're just going to gently bring it over to the left, prepare for the long right-hand sweeper. As soon as we see the 50 board, we're braking down into 4th gear. Nice amount of grip there. Braking down in a third, chuck it in, get over that, loads of grip, more grip on the exit, up to 4th. Braking just before the 50, getting over that, nice. Bring it over to the right, braking hard, into 3rd, get your left wheels on that, that'll give you all the grip. Braking just before the 50, into 3rd, keep it tight. You see there's a bit of understeer on that lap, I was pushing very hard. You don't have to push it that hard. Okay, I am going to show you very quickly a qualifying lap I did. The reason I'm going to show you it is because the car behaves very differently, and somebody's going to have to qualify for the race. With the qualifying setup, you can it's just under 1 second faster. If you get a really good lap, it's about a second faster. Reason why I tested the qualifying setup is because when I went into this lobby to practice, I realised there was a lot of super fast high iRating teams, like 7,000, 8,000 iRatings. I just wanted to see, they were all doing their qualifying runs, doing 2 laps at a time. So I thought, okay, I'll give it a go, and I actually beat everybody, and I beat the top team by 0.2 of a second. So I might as well show you this qualifying lap, just so you can see a reference point of how you can do it. Again, I'm nowhere near at the level of these top level guys, but just because this is my track, this is my home track, I'll share the little tips and tricks with you here. So we'll bring this back into play. I'm just going to let it play through, and then we'll look at it from the outside. So the car's a lot lighter, so you can really get on the power early and really throw it into the corners. And because the car is so much lighter, you can put a lot more steering lock on. You haven't got to look after those tyres. It's a qualifying lap, so you can get right to the edge of the track. You have to for qualifying, get on the power earlier than you normally do. Okay, just before the 50, into 4th, get on the power as soon as you feel it hook up. Jumping over this curve here, all the grip on the exit. Hardest section, but the best section in my opinion. Using all the track on the qualifying. So you can see the lap's a lot more untamed compared to the normal racing line, using all the track all the time. And I'll just pause that there actually. The only corner where it's a lot easier is this final corner, because you haven't got the weight in the car, because obviously you've only got 2 laps of fuel in the car. So this corner, you don't actually have to push it right to the limit in qualifying, because the car is so light, it doesn't push the car out too wide, so you can get on the power early and the car does stay quite tight. There is no need to risk the final corner of your qualifying lap to get that last extra little bit of time, because it's actually no quicker when the car is lighter like this. If you do, it's minute amounts, and it's, you don't want to throw away the lap. If you find yourself out there though, good on you, give it a go. But it's always best to keep this last corner safe, because this is the corner most people, especially when your tyres start to fade, understeer off the track. Even in real life, you just see car after car after car falling into this trap. Every year I've gone here to watch the GT3 race cars in the British the category for this, the Blank Paint series. There's about good 6 or 7 safety cars in a race, because a car keeps falling off at this section, and it's no different in iRacing. It will punish you if you push it. Okay, so I think I'm going to leave it there. Again, if there are any questions you have on this track, because I know a lot of you have already told me you're not a fan of this track and you're not looking forward to it. I'm happy to go through this. I'm actually going to use this track for the Academy session that's starting this Saturday. Please give it a thumbs up in a Discord if you are attending in this the Academy section, just so I know how many people are coming along, so I can prepare the session to the people who were in it. It's one of the hardest tracks we're going to do, but if you can just get a rhythm of this track, it's like doing a dance. You learn the beat to the music, and it's all about timing, and you build up a rhythm, and the lap times will just get faster. But just make sure, build your pace up slowly, lap by lap, just get quicker and quicker. And I strongly suggest that everybody before the race gets in the sorry, it's very early in the morning for me, I'm very tired. Gets in the endurance setup that I have shared, and does a full run on the 120 litres of fuel, so you can get a feeling and your own reference of how the tyres degrade over that time and how the car feels different towards the end of your stint. I've seen a few people, they've gone into the race, haven't practiced enough, and they've only done a few laps expecting the car to be the same every lap. It isn't. It changes constantly, and so does the track. So go get into a practice session in the lobby. Make sure it's the endurance series practice lobby and not the sprint, because the sprint halves your fuel. It has to be the endurance, because it's the only lobby that will let you use 120 litres of fuel. There's a good second difference in the pace when you only got half fuel. So you make sure you've got the full 120 litres in the car. Okay. My brake bias for this has always been on 51. I find 51.2 or anything higher makes the car very snappy, because this is a track where the front has a lot of grip for turning, but you don't want too much that you can lose the rear. So this setup actually has a lot of downforce on the rear to keep it stable. Okay. Again, any questions, just drop me a message on Discord, and have fun this weekend with the Team Happy Life Factory team. How many have we got? Global, International, Europe, Austria, Germany. There's lots of us now, so good luck all. Look forward to seeing you on the track this weekend, and good luck for the next 3-hour race event. Take it easy.